everyone, it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets and welcome to this week's Sketch Sunday. The sketch is from My Favorite Things and I'm going to show you the products that we're going to be using. So we're going to be using several My Favorite Things stamps. The first set is called Count the Stars from Lena Lamb Designs. The next one is Whimsical Wishes, and then we're also going to be using Written in Watercolor. So I'm just showing you which stamps from the collection, and then we're going to be using some Recollections Ombre inks in several different colors to create the background and the card. So we're doing a top folding card, and then that piece actually comes from a My Favorite Things die that was cut out. It was an extra piece. This is a We Are Memory Keepers 6x6 embossing folder that created that background piece there, and that's cut down to a 1/4 inch smaller than the card. We're also going to be using four colors of Distress ink. At first I thought we were just going to use two, so we're using the Dusty Concord and the Worn Lipstick Distress ink. So I pulled out the two mini ink daubers that I had, and they're going to match the one ombre that goes from pink to purple. So that's what I wanted to do, was create the pink on the top and then the purple on the bottom and kind of blend them in the middle like the ombre ink pad has. So I had a problem with my mini ink blending tool. The foam was actually coming off of the Velcro part, so I thought that I could put it back on, but it didn't work very well. So I put that aside to let the glue dry for a little bit to see if that would help. And then I started in with the Dusty Concord. When using distress inks, it's always best to start off of the paper, and I have a craft mat underneath, which is really easy to clean up. That's what I like to use when I do my distress inks. So I'm just going all over the bottom of the page with the purple. It turned out to be a little bit more purple than the pink, just because the distress ink was going on a little bit easier with the purple ink than with the pink ink because of that issue. So now I'm looking for the other distress ink colors. I'll eventually come up with some Seedless Preserves, which is a different shade of purple. It's like almost like a pink purple, and I thought that would look good kind of blended together. So I went over a lot of that purple that I had already done with the Seedless Preserves. And then I picked up some Picked Raspberry, and I didn't change my ink blending foam, and I realized that I should have. So I do think I changed it at some point. And there was that one little spot on the card. I don't know if it was glue or something that picked up on it, but you can see that the distress ink wasn't going over top of it. If you do get glue or anything on it, the distress ink will not go over that. So, oh, there we go. Actually, I'm sorry, that was the Worn Lipstick, and now I'm changing it to the Picked Raspberry, and then we're going to go over the edges and kind of get it to blend a little bit better. So I use the Picked Raspberry to blend in between the pink and the purple. And that's what I came up with. So it's pretty easy but messy technique, and I was just showing you how it kind of looked like the ombre ink that goes from pink to purple, and then the combination in the middle. I was just cleaning off my hands because I'm starting my new job tomorrow and I didn't want to go in with inky hands. Oh, just tried to do the best that I could. I tried not to get too inky, but ink blending is always a very messy process for me. I don't know if it's for everybody, but for me it always is. So now I'm looking at the sketch again to try to figure out exactly what I want to do. And this piece, like I said, was a leftover from the art journaling piece that I did last week, if you saw last week's Sketch Sunday. So I'm going to take the Wish Big, and we're going to use the ombre stamp pad, which goes from blue to purple. And when I stamped the Wish, it was a lot of purple that I did, because I did it the opposite way of what I thought I had. I had the ink pad actually upside down in my hands. So it was a lot of purple with just a tiny, tiny bit of blue on the bottom. And sorry for the shaking. I was trying to press down on the table, and the table was wobbly. So if you notice, there's not a lot of that blue. So when I went in with the big, I made sure to concentrate on the blue end of the ink pad so that it would be ombre. The whole sentiment would be ombre. So that's what I did. And then I picked up two of the stars, the medium size and the smallest. I had the biggest one, but because of the way the sentiment was and the stitching around the edges, I couldn't use the big one. So I used the medium and the small one, and then just inked up mainly purple at the top, and then the bottom one got more of the blue and the mid-tone. So once that was stamped out, it looked ombre. I like the way that that came out. So there was the big star there, the one that I didn't use. So now we're going to be using the the pink to orange from the stamp set Whimsical Wishes, those like cross ones. So we're going to use that one. So I put the stamp on my big block, and I was trying to figure out how I wanted to do it. And I kind of just went back and forth so that it was orange, then pink, then orange again, just trying to go back between the colors. If you've never used ombre ink before, if you don't want it to have a sharp line, you kind of have to cha-cha the ink back and forth so that there's no harsh lines that delineate the two different colors that if you just stamp down like you would on a regular ink pad. Now when I put this together, I realized that the white piece was a little bit too big, so I went back through and I cut I think I cut about not even a 1/4 inch. I think it might have been 1/8 of an inch off of the sides, just to trim it down just a tiny bit so that it would fit on the front of the card. Now it is longer than the embossed piece that I did, but I will cut the excess pieces off after I glue everything down. So I got that together and then put it together and just wanted to see how the card would look. So that's how it's going to look on the card base. Now I wanted to go around the edges with the distress ink to kind of give it a little bit of a finished look like it was supposed to be there. So I'm just going back with the pinks and the purples where I thought the color would lie when it was pushed up against there. Now if you notice, there's kind of a buckle in that piece, the one that I'm going to tape down. It was hard to get it to stick down onto the surface because of the embossing. So I kind of had to, it kind of comes up in a couple places, and as you can see on the side, and then I had to really go back and press it down. I actually, after this filmed, I actually put a block on top of it just so that it would stay down. Now if you notice, I put some tape at the very top of it because I needed to cut the top piece off with my scissors. I actually went around and cut the excess off of the top and the side so that it would fit on the front of the card nicely. And when I did that, I realized that it was crooked. So I just went back and trimmed the pieces until the piece went back to the size that I wanted it to be. Lined it back up and stuck it down. So that was the finished front of the card. So now I moved the mat because I kind of had some ink on the front of it, and I just wanted to make sure that the distress ink did not transfer over onto that after I worked hard to do all of those pieces. I normally am not that smart and normally ruin a piece when I do that. So put it onto the front of the card base, and that was the front of the card. I wanted to make sure that I did the inside of the card with Happy Birthday, and that's from the Written in Watercolor My Favorite Things sentiment. And I wanted to use the pink and the orange because it was only a tiny bit on the front. It was mostly the purple and pink and blue. So I just kind of went back and forth cha-chaing and then stamped that down, and I really like the way that it came out. I may go back in and do like a star in the inside. I'm not sure yet, but that's how it turned out. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have comments or questions, please feel free to leave them